SSSniperWolf did not strike a channel. Now, for clarification, there was a prior video in regards to SniperWolf striking a channel, as you can see here on the right under my model. There was also some Warner Gamers videos on the topic. I chose the later one because I wanted to have the most accurate information as of the time of this.
I've got a huge twist for you today that's going to leave you more stunned than the first time you watched Fight Club. Last night I posted a video going over some more fraudulent strikes, which is becoming a huge issue that's plaguing the entire platform. It's an epidemic sweeping through. The first one was from the Manny Show. It's their second fraudulent strike that they've issued because their feelings get hurt. This one was automatically declined, which no doubt left Manny screaming into a pillow, kicking their feet in the air, wondering why no one likes them. The second strike I covered was one that was not declined, it fully went through, and it came from SniperWolf. Or was it? Okay. Was it all just a ploy from the deep state to have us eating out of the palm of their hands as the New World Illuminati shadow government actually worked behind the scenes to frame SniperWolf and she wasn't actually involved? Well, maybe not to that scale, but from all of the evidence I've seen now, it actually wasn't SniperWolf who filed that strike. And it's a very complicated mess that highlights a very, very rare problem on YouTube that I've...
Is this going to be about an agency or organization or entity on behalf of them claiming it, but them not claiming it themselves? Is this what this is going to be?
Very much would like to talk about. But let's go through the entire lore real quick.
Okay. I mean,
so,
let's
the story starts with a big YouTube channel named One Giant Onion talking about a strike they received in their channel for the video they made on SniperWolf. Okay. He posted a 3-hour video that was all just a big joke.
Nice.
But it did use all of her content. Well, I don't think like all of it. It's not like he went through the entire Library of Alexandria here, gathering every single SniperWolf video, but it used 3 hours worth. And it resulted in him getting a strike many months later. He went trick-or-treating and he got a fucking razor blade laced apple. So the strike is...
So I do want to highlight, I think that is an unfortunate part of YouTube. I can have a video in 3 years be copyright claimed or struck. There is no statute of limitations on that. The reason that I say this, in my opinion, when you're going after a lot of these big companies, big entities, right? Big corpo, right? Such as, you know, if we've gone over my example of uploading the entirety of Lord of the Rings or the Avengers, right? And then being able to copyright that, right? Stuff like that, especially big music industry labels, right? You have algorithms, you have bots, you have things that should be catching that within 72 hours. I think 72 hours still is genuine, but like, generous, that's the word I'm going for. Wow, I can English, I promise. But at the end of the day, I think that is fair, right? You have bots scouring this. I think that it is disingenuous, proper word this time, it's disingenuous that 3 years down the line, you can get a strike or a claim from nowhere, even if it's a legitimate claim, right? There should be a statute of limitations on that.
A huge deal. He posts this video kind of going over it and talking about the situation briefly, and the video stays up for 9 days. This isn't a small, obscure channel. This is a channel with almost 1 million subscribers, so a lot of people make some noise about this, wondering why SniperWolf is bullying channels that are making fun of her. And she never responded to it or anything. I eventually caught wind of this, and I talked about it in the video I made last night about fraudulent strikes. It's the second video I made in like a week on it because it keeps happening. Now, after I posted that video, SniperWolf went on Twitter to claim that she never issued that strike at all, which got me scratching at the hairs of my chinny chin chin, because it's exceptionally rare for someone to be able to successfully file a strike on behalf of someone else if they're not an agency. For all the shit that I and many others give YouTube to their automated system when it comes to strikes, they're actually pretty decent when it comes to fucking putting the wood on impersonator strikes.
I would disagree with that. However, in my situation, in regards to Epidemic Sound, I was paying for a license, and their agency on behalf of them still issued that claim. So I still think YouTube is pretty hit or miss. That being said, his experience could vastly differ from my own because he is a large, successful creator. I am a small creator, right? From my own section of the internet, it's hit or miss, honestly. I've had some real interesting interactions. What I've noticed, piggybacking off of his prior comment in regards to it being, second one he's had to do in a week, I noticed that these go in waves. And if you do content, if you deal with copyright, I'm curious on your opinion as well. Do these go in waves? Have you noticed that there's like a wave of copyright that'll come through and then it ceases for a bit, and there's a wave that comes through and then ceases again? I'm curious on your feedback.
Someone is trying to claim your work and they're not associated with any reputable agency, or it's not actually someone associated with you, the strike is normally automatically declined.
Okay.
And what that means is basically what happened to Tech Lead and Manny Show for their most recent strike attempts, where YouTube says, hey, this is a load of dirty barnacles. We're not taking action. We just want to make you aware of it. That's what happens usually when someone tries to strike while not actually being the person associated with the content.
Okay, so then in my situation, as they were on behalf, an agency on behalf of Epidemic Sound, that's a little different then. This is, as chat's saying, if you are not affiliated with the person in any way, shape, or form, and you're saying, oh, well, I'm copywriting this on behalf of Moist Critical, right? Kip, you have no relation to Moist Critical. Get bent. That kind of thing. That would make more sense.
Now, I can only think of 2 cases where an impersonator strike actually did go through.
Okay.
And one of them was with the Destiny 2 community a couple years ago, where a disgruntled gamer, a Destiny 2 enthusiast, went on this fucking rampage on YouTube striking innocent creators' works, and he filed all of them as if he was the official Bungie organization.
I remember
he
this.
Pretended to be the real Bungie, which ended up being a huge reputational hit to Bungie themselves, because people all thought it was Bungie. But really, it was just some goober LARPing as Bungie. He put on the suit and tie, tightened it up, and said, "It's time to go to work. I'm miserable, and I want to watch it all burn." So, that's what he tried to do, false flagging a ton of channels. Eventually, the sheriff on the block, Big Boy Bungie themselves, stepped in and fucked his face.
Good, honestly. And that's what needs to happen, right? If I were to file a copyright claim, and I have no business filing the copyright claim, I think this is fair, right? If I were to, hypothetically, impersonate Bungie, and I were to claim stuff in, as Bungie, yeah, hey, you're not us. We're going to take you to court. I think that's fair. I think that's incredibly fair, personally. And, the fact that this happened in the first place is an issue. It outlines that there are problems with the system, but at the end of the day, there was actual follow-up onto this. One of my consistent issues with copyright, and I've been very outspoken about this, is even if you have a false claimant and they claim your stuff and you submit a counterclaim, right? They still have your name. They still have personal identifying information about you, and you can't go after them. So Jane Doe, John Doe can, copyright this video, and I'd be like, hey, are you affiliated with Moist Critical? Do you have any legal grounds on this? And they could drop it immediately, and I could do nothing to pursue them. I think that's wrong. But that is a conversation for people that understand copyright more than I do, such as Moist Critical, such as Pirate Software, Legal Eagle potentially. That becomes a more nuanced discussion, and I don't have a lot of those special fine details that are required to fully have that conversation. I do think that there does need to be a process. If you're a claimant to submit, hey, we own this, here's this document, here's this official paperwork that shows this, I think that would fix a lot. But then I've also heard feedback that can F over a lot of people in that middle business kind of thing, right? Or startup businesses. Because sure, while it makes it harder for bigger businesses, it puts a lot of strain on that middle ground. So, I mean, it's a very hot issue, and DMCA is in dire need of overhaul, but there's no guarantee that the overhaul we get is going to be in any way, shape, or form better than what we currently have.
They said cowabunga dude, and they let loose the legal dogs on him. It's something that is taken very seriously when you impersonate someone and strike others. It's illegal. You can't do that, which is why you don't see it very often. So the other example, by the way, was Nintendo. It's happened with Nintendo in the past as well, though I can't remember what happened to the culprit in that case. So
I do know that there was a situation where Nintendo claimed another Nintendo account, but technically that just gets dropped because it would be Nintendo having to litigate against Nintendo. I know that's probably not this situation, but he is absolutely right. You cannot do this. I cannot, and I'm using this as a hypothetical, I cannot say, well, I work on behalf of Walmart or I work on behalf of Bank of America. I cannot do that. I cannot say that. Those are all hypotheticals, right? Because you are claiming representation where there is none. That's fraudulent. You cannot do that.
So some of you might remember from 2018, which I know is archaic at this point. That's fucking prehistoric by internet years. But in 2018, Alinity had that big meme about we should copyright PewDiePie, should we copyright PewDiePie, whatever, where she was going to copyright strike PewDiePie because he was insulting her, and she was working with an agency called Collab DRM, who does strike on behalf of creators. Fast forward to 2024, there's plenty of agencies just like Collab DRM that do this, that do strikes on behalf of creators in order to take down re-uploads or sometimes just bully others into not talking about something they don't want posted.
Correct. Superbam Inc. is one that I have had to deal with a few times. As far as I'm aware, and I did try to email out, but I didn't get a response, which is fair. Superbam Inc. allegedly represents Markiplier and Jaden Animations, and they will be the ones that will be sending you a copyright claim or strike. I don't know how that works, if they are fully represented or not, because there's been ones that the claims have been upheld. There's one that the claims have been dropped, which at the end of the day, if you own it and you're claiming it, why would you ever drop that? I guess that's my arch my eyebrow moment. But he is absolutely correct.
It is a common practice in the industry. So I decided to really stick my nose into this pile of dog shit and get a huge whiff of the stink here, that odorous Methodist that every YouTuber is familiar with, the copyright strike system. I reached out to One Giant Onion to just send me all of the info about the strike, which he was more than willing to do, so I appreciate that. I'm not going to post a screenshot because they're not mine to post. That's up to One Giant Onion if he wants to talk deeper about it and show those. I'll just talk about what was there.
Okay, he does this.
The copyright strike was filed by an individual who claims to be representing an agency, a collaborative agency, that works with SSSniperWolf. So they were successfully able to file the strike based on the information that they are with this agency that represents SSSniperWolf, thus they have the right to enforce her copyright. This is a pretty common thing, like I mentioned. There are tons of scumbag vermin that do this, these corporate suits that take this action, and many agencies that make this a core part of their strategy. However, what's definitely not a core part of their strategy is having the agents that are filing these takedown requests and strikes use a fucking personal Gmail account. So that's where things immediately became very clear to me that this is probably straight up horseradish. The email account was someone's personal Gmail. They weren't using a company account. It was not a professional email. It was just random Joe Blow's Gmail account that they're probably subscribed to browsers through. And that is uncommon. Typically when a strike is filed from a fucking agency, you'll see the email be from that agency.
Yeah,
this was not the case in One Giant Onion's strike here. I was pretty sure after looking even deeper into the email that this was all a scam, a ruse. But I have no fucking clue what the motive would be for this. Since they didn't claim the video, they're not making the money from it. There's a scam through Spotify where some people will post audio and then copyright claim YouTubers that use that audio, even though it's just common sounds like Super Mario making a sound effect like wahoo, something like that. Common sound effects. You'll have people on Spotify upload that audio and then claim YouTubers to make the money from the videos they use, including that. Like, the motive there is clearly to make money through this scam. In this case, this fraudulent strike, this blatant abuse of the YouTube system, it seems like there's just nothing to gain. They took down the video, thus they're not making money from it. Like the only thing they gain is making SSSniperWolf look evil. So maybe
that might be enough, though. I mean, I have been notorious that I entirely disagree with her doxing Jack's films, right? I'm not about to come out and harass her. I'm not about to really, reopen the situation, because at the end of the day, it's between Jack's film, everyone associated with him, and SSSniperWolf, right? She's an idiot. She doxed somebody. YouTube did, as far as I'm aware, adjust the doxing policy, and I inherently disagree with that. Like, does that mean I go out of my way to make her look evil? No, I just cite what we know as objective fact, that this doxing did take place, and cite that I don't agree with this, and I think this is a bad look for YouTube. But that's all I can do, right? I can't pursue it other than that. To go that extra step and to just issue claims that allegedly are not from the company, because even it could be someone from the company, right? I have had copyright claims that are, they'll claim like 28 minutes of a video, despite all me pausing throughout, despite me adding commentary, right? They'll just claim like 28 minutes of like a 34-minute video. you're supposed to claim the bits that you own, right? So if you say 1 minute to 2 minutes is said sound, and 2 to 2:30 is their sound, right? They can claim 1 to 2 and 2 to 2:30. They can't claim 28 out of 34, at least reasonably. But I've seen the exact opposite, where they'll claim like the entire video because just F it, why not? Who's going to challenge that? So, I mean, that is a problem with YouTube, in my opinion. I mean, obviously they formulate your own opinion, right? If you support her, cool, I guess. If you don't support her, that's completely fine. What I can't condone is harassment or bullying or engaging in allegedly potentially illegal behaviors and trying to pose as somebody that you're not affiliated with. At this point, I'm saying allegedly because, as the situation evolves, I'm sure it'll come out if this person is or is not affiliated. But going back to the claims and how they're inaccurate, it would not surprise me if somebody just didn't use their institution. So I will at this point say allegedly until further information is gleaned.
It's something personal there, I have no clue. But I reached out to SSSniperWolf directly about this just to 100% confirm whether or not this agency represents her. I also could find no official mention of this agency ever working with SSSniperWolf, so I feel like any agency that would have a creator as large as her would be plastering that all over their marketing material. So this definitely seems like someone pretending to work at that agency and then filing this strike. Yeah. But I reached out directly to SSSniperWolf just to 100% confirm whether or not she's associated with this group. She confirms she does not work with them at all, and even goes as far as to mention that this group has targeted her channel in the past as well.
That's wild. So, with the information presented, unless something else that comes out to conflict it, even with my disagreements with her, right, with the doxing, as an adult, I look at this and go, hey, she's not affiliated with this company, this organization, this entity. That's not her fault then. It's whoever is impersonating being affiliated with her and whoever's affiliated with this organization. That's how you be an adult. And you see how gathering all the facts, right? How the beginning we start to do, think one thing, but now with evidence coming out, we think another thing completely, but we're from a more educated standpoint now. That's how the internet needs to be. That's how more people need to be. I say this, but then again, it's not going to change. Let's be real. This is not on her. This is on this fraudulent claimant at this point. And I wonder what's going to come of this.
Asked if she would be taking any action against them for the impersonation strikes, since it is illegal, and we have already seen a legal case from this with Bungie, as well as YouTube themselves doing this. I mention this all the time. YouTube dunked on a false flagger back in like 2019. They fucking ruined them, annihilated them, fucking eviscerated them for this kind of dog shit. So I asked if SSSniperWolf would be trying to take action. She talks about how they're a foreign company, so it's pretty hard.
Yeah.
And she's right. Since it is a foreign entity, her options are kind of limited there. So it's going to really be up to YouTube to solve this issue. Apparently this group has done this multiple times in the past, and now they've just done it again. So it looks like the only option to save the day is going to be sending up the bat signal and hoping YouTube will put on the cape and shut this group down, and probably maybe they will pursue something legally against them, because this is an issue that is spiraling out of control now. YouTubers abusing the copyright system we've seen multiple times now, Tech Lead and The Manny Show, as well as a couple others in the past. And now SSSniperWolf being framed for being one by a completely separate third party that has no association with her. That's a huge problem. If impersonator strikes are going to start to go through, that's going to lead to complete fucking pandemonium. Yep. So this needs to be stopped ASAP, and this needs to be made an example out of on YouTube's end, I feel. So apologies to SSSniperWolf. I'm sorry for the big headache that this must have caused when she didn't do it. She wasn't the one that issued the strike. So yeah, big update to this story here, and hopefully a happy ending with YouTube getting that strike taken off of One Giant Onion's channel, as well as preventing that group from doing this kind of shit in the future. And maybe this is pie in the sky, like maybe I'm just on the fucking crack pipe for this thought, but maybe YouTube will do even more to make the strike system a lot more strict and a lot more difficult to have things like this squeak through the cracks. So I'm hoping. I'm really on that fucking hopium right now. That's really about it. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with him. However, definitely doing a little bit of the going skiing, right? Going down those sweet powdery slopes for that. Man, God, I've worked in kitchens for too many years. No, I agree with him. And honestly, this is why I wanted to wait for this and see the update, because as I've said before, you have one chance to make an impression, right? Do you know there's a short that I did about the Russian badger and Red Lobster, and I said Lobstoberfest instead of Lobsterfest? I don't know why. It must have been on something that day. I don't know. It's at like 300,000 views, and people are just like, this idiot actually said Lobstoberfest instead of Lobsterfest. I can't take that back. I've made like $30 off the short, so you know what? I'm just gonna adopt it now. We have Lobstoberfest now, the hunt for Red Lobstober. So what I mean by that is you have one chance to make an impression, and there's no. Why I don't jump on subjects like this is when we have a video being made by Moist Critical or Stormwater Gamers, right? And it goes over a situation and it's correct information at the time, or as correct information as we can get at the time. Like, there's only so much you can do. And so there's also no guarantee that the people that watch the first video will watch the follow-through, the update video. That's why I chose to watch the update video, to have the most accurate information. And no, as much as I dislike the doxing, as much as I don't really have respect for her, I think that that's absolutely wrong that she has to go through that. I think that that's wrong. I'm sorry she's having to go through that. It's not fair. No one should have to go through that. And realistically, right, it becomes a mess, because is YouTube able to revoke these permissions? Is YouTube able to tweak these permissions? Or will YouTube get in legal trouble? And as far as I'm aware, YouTube does have to remain unbiased. All they're doing is saying, hey, we received this copyright, we received this, we're notifying you about this legal action. They're not issuing it. It's the issuer, the claimant. And I think the next step is making sure to call out organizations like this, whether you have a website, whether you have an entire YouTube series on it, breaking it down, whether a massive Twitter feed, right? But having a list of all these companies and infractions that they do, maybe that's a way to fix it. I don't know. It is definitely a problem, though. I'm more than happy to, if I use 20 seconds of, the Avengers, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, right? And they go, hey, you can't use that. Okay, it's kind of crappy. We did a combat breakdown from The Mandalorian, and the entirety of it got claimed by Disney. And it's just like, okay, I get it. This video is up on YouTube by, not you, but you're doing it because it's still like the new. Oh no, it was Obi-Wan. It was Obi-Wan versus Vader, and it's like, and we're breaking it down. Got claimed by Disney. Not worth my time. I know they're claiming it because it's their newest thing. Like they probably don't really care if you're transformative with like Luke versus Vader from Empire Strikes Back. This is all to say, YouTube copyright is a mess. And if you're looking at doing YouTube videos, this is something you definitely need to be cognizant of. Am I saying you need to be scared in your little box? Like, oh God, no. It's frustrating. It's annoying. It's something you have to just, something you have to be cognizant about. But let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if you think I'm on something. Let me know if you think I'm on something. Go touch some grass. Have a good one.